Welcome back to Tokyo Ghoul Anime Review. This is episode number 24, and this one I'm viewing the final episode of Tokyo Ghoul Yep, that's what it was called. It's called the final episode. Yeah, it's particularly very odd of a title. hmm Yeah, it doesn't have a really official name. It's just called the final episode. Yes, and I kind of did last week where this episode pretty much covers the last. I think it's like the last 7 episodes in the manga. Yep, last 7 chapters, and those chapters are 173 to 179. So in this episode, we have the big brawl between Kaneki and Furuta, which takes up pretty much most of this episode. I'd say the first 50. Well, I'd say about 13 minutes of this episode is dedicated to this big brawl. The episode starts off with a flashback featuring Furuta, where he's there, he's training, and of course we have another flashback in the episode when he's dying, where he has a flashback with Rise. Of course, that's a set up a little later. And I gotta say, the fight between Kaneki and Furuta, it's a really damn good fight, and the anime did a fantastic job keeping a lot of the good bits in when it comes to this particular fight, like Furuta getting his arm chopped off twice, both in his regular form and this ultimate monster form he goes to. Yeah, it's a really damn good fight, and I at least gotta praise the anime for keeping a lot of this in. It didn't feel disappointing like a lot of other anime tends to be, but yeah, this was really, really good. I love the animation for this; it's just really good. And of course, while this is going on, we have Kaneki, like right as he meets Furuta, he climbs top of this gigantic, I don't know, like gigantic thing which is causing all the black dragons to come out. And he finds a cocoon on top. Who's this cocoon? Why, it's frickin' Rise. Yes, Rise. Making her first physical appearance in this entire anime. Despite the fact in the original manga, she does return in the stuff they chose not to adapt for the second half of the Tokyo Ghoul the Tokyo Ghoul manga. Yeah, she showed up in the second half of the manga. Yeah, she returned for that. And her, apparently, when she shows up here, she's butt naked. She's got this war tattoos on her face and I'd say around her neck and upper chest. And Kaneki just kills her in her human form. She doesn't go black dragon form, just stays in this form. And then, like, right after that, all the cocoons shut down. And then, like, right after that, Kaneki starts escaping. And apparently, yeah, it also looks like that Kaneki's brother-in-law, Toka's older brother, it looks like he saves him from drowning. And of course, he reaches up to light. This is actually frequently shown, him like stretching up to the light, trying to grab it. That's actually from the opening title. They've been showing this frequently, like every single episode of the second half of this particular series. And then we jumped 6 years later to what some of the people were up to. Now, in the manga, they actually reveal what a lot of these people were up to, like right after time skip. In the episode, they don't show it. Just a handful of known characters like the gourmet ghoul. He shows up here as well. He also shows up in the regular stuff and the future stuff. And we also have Hyde, who apparently has switched off wearing a handkerchief mask to basically wearing a regular, friendlier mask for him to wear. It has like a smiley face on it because he's very somewhat grotesque. Apparently, it looks like he got rid of the little voice box he had for his neck. Yeah, maybe he got some special surgery to get his voice restored. I don't know. It's just a theory. And he's walking someplace. Everybody's like walking to the Kaneki house. And we see the first and probably only going to be the only anime appearance of Kaneki and Toka's daughter. This beautiful little girl who is 6 years old. And like, I was kind of worried about when the episode ended. Like, I thought they were going to include like the last couple pages of the chapter, but no, they actually included the last couple pages of the chapter during the credits. Apparently, the ending credits have been shown since the start of this particular season are actually from that last chapter. I don't know why, but that's basically where it is. And when you last see the Kaneki family before it goes to black, it looks like Toka's pregnant with her second child because she has her hand like right at her belly, so it looks like she's kind of pregnant with her second child. And as was gonna go, no idea because that's where the manga ended as well. It just ended with this future of hope, and Tokyo looked like it's been mostly been restored. There's still the Black Dragon stuff still rolling about, but at least the city's not in ruins anymore. In the anime, this only lasts a few episodes. In the manga, this lasted for a good 40 The last, I'd say 48 chapters in the manga. It started with chapter 130, and it didn't actually wrap around this particular point, and didn't finally wrap up until chapter 178. That's pretty much the encompass of the whole thing of Tokyo being in ruins. Yep. And yeah, I gotta say for adapting the last 7 chapters of the manga, they do a damn good job adapting it, and it doesn't look like anything was there's some minor changes here and there, but I gotta say for even the final chapter, the only complaint I have from it, like I said, is that we don't know what these characters are up to, right after the time skip. Reveal that some of them basically start up a replacement for the CGC, where it basically is meant to be a group that cooperates with the ghouls, and apparently people will stop turning the ghouls. We also get a chance to see Genshu, the guy who was killed at the end of the first season, see his sister look like she's been fully cured, and she's working with the Quincy squad. Also, Mizura has also stopped wearing her eye patch that she's been wearing for pretty much the whole series. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, does she ever attack Kaneki after the whole thing of him directly turning him to the Black Dragon? Never does. She's and then is never brought up again. Also, this would have been a really cool scene to include in the anime, because they didn't include this in the manga, of Toka's best friend, the one who was arrested for suspecting of knowing knowledge of a ghoul, and of course, Hyde meeting her and Hyde meeting. This would have been an interesting little meeting, but this never happened. I was kind of hoping this would happen in the manga, but this never happened either. In manga either, but that's probably the most disappointing thing about these last few chapters, is that we don't have a meeting between the best friends of the main character and the main character's love interest. The human best friends. I mean, Toki a chance to meet Hyde, and she gets along with him really well, which I gotta appreciate them doing that. Also, I thought this was really, really weird that this final thing actually included this. Apparently, they included the finale for Route A in here, which I thought that was weird. Why the heck would you include Route A for? Route A was deemed non-canon about the start of this particular series, and yet you referenced it? The only reason I know is because the whole standing in snow, Kaneki wearing his outfit that he did wear in the manga during the second half of the original series, and him standing for the CGC. That's from Route A. That's not from the original manga. No, that's from Route A. I have no idea why they included that for. My only guess is Studio Pierre included that because they made Route A, so they made people kind of remember it to happen. Yeah. This was overall a really good episode, except I kind of wish we had a few more minutes to give maybe some narration of exactly what the heck these characters have been up to. And I appreciate though the fact that that in the case of, it looks like that Renja looked like he had aged. It looked like he put on glasses. This is of course the guy who's he kind of is Toka's godfather, where he's kind of in a way Toka and Ken Kaneki's. Well, he's kind of like a grandfather to this little girl. I think her name is Achiru. Yeah, Achiru. An adorable little girl. And she has, appearance-wise, she has her father's hair, but she has her mother's good looks. Which, believe it or not, that's actually something that Toka's mom said about Toka herself, where she physically looks exactly like her mother. But yeah, I really appreciate that. But that's nothing unusual for anime, or at least manga, to do this, where the daughters look almost exactly like their mothers, almost physically, with exceptions of minor things. But unlike with Naruto, where Hinami looks almost exactly like Hinata, even the same hair color, Ken and Toka's daughter has Kaneki's hair. Has Ken's hair, which is white, makes it like a little black. It's not blue like her mother's is. Yeah. And I only think of the only reason why that Toka's brother saved him, because he's going to be the father of. He basically made him an uncle. And it's great though that he's actually kind of seen in the final scene of the episode. But I kind of wish we had some narration in during the time. We have some narration, not much. We see what the city of Tokyo's been up to, like what happened, like the whole thing was being built, but nothing what the characters are up to. Absolutely nothing. We also get a chance to see Juzo reading out with his mentor, who's been in coma for some period of time, and it's a very tearful reunion. I appreciate the fact that this is not like played for laughs, and it's just really good. Overall, it's a good episode to end the series, but let's talk about the final thoughts on the entire anime as a whole. I started reviewing this thing late last year, and I got through the first season, absolutely no problem. I gotta say, from the first season perspective of Tokyo Ghoul, they did a really good job. The depths of out of order. They did a fantastic job, even with the pacing and the fact that stuff was done properly and the characters would have good motivation. I like the fact that everything was, even though stuff was done out of order, but it was done really well. Route A, I didn't have a really big problem with this, but watching it and remember from stuff that happened in the manga, it seems like with the exception of what happened with Kaneki, mostly a lot of everything else related to all the rest of the characters and a lot of the story related to this particular thing, with the exception of the ending, is taken exactly from the second half of the manga, which, yeah, I know they did change the ending battle, which it actually was complete. It was kind of a similar battle they actually have in the action anime itself, but the thing is, Kaneki apparently died at the end of the original manga, and then of course he was brought back as Sasi Haas, the mentor to his Quincy Squad. And here it's just like, it's kind of like a mild reference to it, except that Kaneki was laying on the ground at the end of the series, not standing up and just basically face to face with the head of the CGC. Yeah. And I do think having him kill Rise at the end of the series, both from manga and anime perspective, actually is a brilliant stroke of genius right there, because killing the woman who indirectly started this whole mess in the first place is a nice way to kind of end it. Yeah. But the overall one of the biggest problems was Ri. From what I can tell, Ri did not have the same exact problems that I gotta say, pacing wise, the first half of this particular series, the first season, the first 12 episodes, has very good pacing. This why I think, yes, they do drop a lot of chapters, but the pacing is done really, really well. In the case of the second season, the first episode had terrible pacing, so the third one. And then, after first few episodes, it's kind of like, okay, they probably got some, my guess is Studio Pair must have had some complaints from reviewers and from our people that the pacing is really bad. You're just rushing through this. And they kind of are. And they had this strange thing of adapting Egypt, where they adapt half of a chapter, or 2 or 3 pages of a chapter, or almost the entire thing except for the last couple pages. I'm like, I think that's an episode? Nope, going straight to the next chapter. I mean, I get the fact that you have to make changes, cut some stuff, but not where you cut half a freaking chapter. I mean, why does Studio Pair do this for this franchise? They didn't do it for Bleach or Naruto, where they basically just let's just say adapt half of a chapter and just do bits pieces of other chapters for their arcs. They at least keep a majority of everything in. I mean, they change some dialogue per se, but not in the case of changing, let's say, changing storylines. I mean, I get the fact you want to cut some grotesque stuff from the manga. Fine, whatever. But don't cut out story plots or cut out narration for no reason. Oh, that's one of the biggest problems with both Tokyo. Not much with Tokyo Ghoul, but it's more a problem with Ri. But I gotta say, for when they adapted for when I remember when they adapted the chapter where Kaneki and Toka had sex, it's a very well done adaptation, and they did kind of trim it down a bit. They did keep the good meat of basically what happened in that particular chapter. And one thing I gotta say about the last few episodes, they didn't like do what they did before. They like cut, they just adapt like half a chapter. It's like stop here, or like they completely. They adapted the entire chapter for these episodes, and I have a good reason why. Because there's plenty of material to do for a good like few minutes of screen time. It's not like we have to rush through everything like we did before. At least the pacing actually slowed down a bit, and the action was pumped up. Yeah. Though one of my biggest problems with this particular series is the fact there are certain chapters that were either not fully adapted or not adapted at all. Yeah, it's particularly very weird that there's a good like 5 or 6 at least 4 chapters that never saw be adapted in this anime. Nope. And there's a bunch of chapters, especially in the second half of this particular series, where they didn't even adapt the whole frickin' chapter. Yeah, I'm not sure why they did this for. Yeah, it's odd though Studio Period did this. And yes, Studio Period did this entire series. And from what I had heard, that the writer of the series was not impressed with the adaptation of Tokyo Ghoul. From my perspective, I think they did a good job with the first season. I think that going the route of Route A was a terrible idea. Like, how come they give good treatment to both Naruto and Bleach and Yu Hakusho, but not Tokyo Ghoul, where they have to rush through everything, which really makes no goddamn sense at all for them to do this. Yeah, so as it relates to this particular franchise, because I just finished watching the anime, is there anything left for this particular franchise review? Well, there's a couple things. One, there's one more light novel, and of course, there is the sequel to live action that came out last year. I'm looking forward to watching it when I get a chance to watch it, like either online. I don't know if it's gonna release. It's probably is gonna release here. Probably in a good, I don't know, maybe like a dub. It probably is gonna be released here. I'm hoping to go see it when it comes out here. But knowing Japan, when they release films over here, it's always a very limited release. A good like 2 weeks and that's it. That's the odd thing about Japan when they release films over here. It's always a very limited release. It's not a very wide release, and it's always for a short period of time when it has to go back to Japan. And they do this for anime films as well, which really makes no goddamn sense. If you want to make a film make good bullet money, keep it in theaters more than 2 weeks. Yes. Though I think that might happen with Broly when it comes out next month, which I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I'm going to do a review of when it does come out. When I get a chance to go see it when it comes in next month. And yeah. As for video-wise for us today, this is the only video. This is the last video planned for you today. Tomorrow, there's only one video planned. I might do a comic corner tomorrow as well. Of course, the only video planned to do tomorrow is, well, I'll review the newest dub episode release for Ace Attorney. Yep, aside from that, there's nothing really much else. As what anime I watch next, because I just pretty much just cut up with Black Butler. Even though I've been left for that franchise, is just a live action film. There are about 3 series I'm planning on starting in the future. And I could be doing these in the future. These to be Case Closed, Goblin Slayer, and Overlord. And it looks like right now Overlord might be the series I start next. Because I just finished up Black Butler, why not start up Overlord? Though I don't think this won't take me as long as I see some other series I've watched. And am I planning on reviewing whenever? I had heard that there's going to be a new chapter released for Katana. I haven't a chance to check yet, but I will review that when it does come out. Okay, but until I see you next video, bye.